a guy named Danko appears on your YouTube feed, you watch him for 30 hours in 2 weeks, you think you're productive without being productive. I always thought self-improvement is one, building business is another, but actually realize that business is self-improvement itself. People actually have so many problems and need to solve that, but these high-quality people admire the most if you want to common authority. So it's really important that you explain why is this important, even more important than the how. Again, like people don't act if you don't tell them why to act, because if you confuse people, you lose them. Make it personalized, one problem, one solution. What I admire the most in life is actually getting experience from things. If you like experience something, you find a reason to wake up in the morning. Many people are not open to new opportunities in life. I don't know why. I was one of them as well. But when I was given a really strong why, I really had no reason to not try, at least. The reason for me stopping being a degenerate is actually like waking up to reality, which drives me forward to just like learning more about life.
The most jacked creator on X. You've probably heard of him, or maybe you've seen his shirtless mirror pics. But nevertheless, we all know and love him as the authority guy. From his weird obsession with toothbrushes to his football skills, this guy is not only building a massive business, but living life while he does it. It is truly inspiring to look up to him as an entrepreneur and as a human being. He is crazy smart, hardworking, and is always willing to help out anybody that needs help. And without further ado, Jakob Cigrovski, welcome to the show, my brother.
Oh, it's so fucking awesome to have me here. It's honestly, I've been on 2 podcasts, but the intro is literally the best thing I've ever heard. I love it so far.
Amazing, dude. I think I mispronounced your name, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, people in my country actually don't call me by the name usually, but by my I don't know how it's called, like pseudonym, whatever. They call me
Uh-huh.
Jakey usually. So yeah, it's
Wait, they call you what?
Jakey.
Jakey, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit different. And my surname, just forget about it. It's hard to spell.
So is it Jakob or is it Jacob?
In Slovenia, it's Jakob.
Okay. Jakob. And then Cigrovski. Okay. I'm gonna try to get that right.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
good.
So tell me about yourself, Jakob. I feel like we've kind of had similar journeys, but video game addiction
Mhm.
to being super skinny, no muscle, and then eventually discovering what the gym is, and then
Mhm.
starting a business, and actually locking in on entrepreneurship and health. And so tell me about the chapters of your life that have led to where you are today, starting from the beginning to where you are today as an entrepreneur.
So I would say 90% of young entrepreneurs' journey starts at the lowest possible, which is video games, like I said, then parties. Like, when you discover parties at 18, you go out, drink. I mean, it's 18 in Slovenia and USA, it's 21, right? So, not like
Yeah.
the same, but you know what I mean. And then you go from not knowing what to do in life to suddenly discovering, for me, it was Andrew Tate on TikTok, and then
Mhm.
Hamza, also Iman and all of these guys. And you're just like, okay, wow, you can actually live a good life. And then you start discovering all the books, the podcasts, the YouTube videos. You binge watch them because you don't really know yet how
Yep.
to apply all of the stuff. You think you're productive without being productive. And then, yeah, then a guy named Danko appears on your YouTube feed. You watch him for, let's say, 30 hours in 2 weeks, something like that. Yeah, I
Whoa.
basically, he was quite new actually on YouTube in September last year. I think so.
Mhm.
Like he had 5 to 10 videos, so I just been watched all of them and started creating
Mhm.
on X by buying his course as well. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, if you like just quickly jump over, now I've earned 3K or at least $3K on online. I've helped 7 creators, and yeah, this is my 3rd podcast, so yeah,
Dude,
that's
making
my
3K, third podcast. Sheesh. You're making it, man. Um, so go into a little bit more about your like the phase where you're looking into Andrew Tate. Like, what about that whole like side of the internet was super attractive to you? Was it like the girls, the money, the cars, the Rolexes?
actually, yeah, I'm not a materialistic guy. I really don't care that much about the cars and all the fancy lifestyle. So what impressed me with is like with the videos I saw on TikTok is actually how direct he is with his opinions and how different they
Mm,
are from what you because on TikTok usually see I don't know memes. Actually, first met Tate with some memes, the clips from his podcast, YouTube videos, all that.
Hmm.
And then it slowly, as you consume one type of content, it slowly starts coming back to your feed, right? And then basically my whole feed on TikTok was Andrew Tate's clips of podcasts, actually the real clips, not the memes. So yeah, it was actually like quite a big mindset shift for me, so to say. Because let's say I didn't believe like online business was actually a thing. I thought it's this drop shipping is just like luck or either scam. I didn't know
Hmm.
like it's something you can actually grind
Yeah, I
on.
felt the same way.
Yeah. Also, so for example, some guys from my country doing this drop shipping, and I just thought, okay, they're self promoting their lifestyle and all that. I thought, okay, that's boring. I don't want that. But then, yeah, as I slowly consumed more of that stuff, and actually transitioned onto YouTube with like more
Hmm.
educational videos on this post on this context. Actually, yeah, I actually fell into it, so to say. Loved it.
Yeah, on YouTube, I find like the educational aspect of it is so much more powerful because they're not just consuming like, yeah, YouTube has shorts, but it's not all shorts, right? And there's a lot of specific creators that you can watch that are actually pretty educational. There's like Charlie Morgan, Hamza,
Oh yeah.
in some cases Hamza.
Mm.
I don't know what he's doing anymore, but he used to have those really long form
Oh yeah.
videos. I don't, and then those were super valuable, but I don't know if he's doing those anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, just there's a lot of educational content, but there's also a lot of distraction. So how have you kind of narrowed down what content to consume, especially with all the distractions that a lot of creators put on there because they're trying to appeal to a certain person, right? They're
Mhm.
trying to appeal to a young guy that is trying to figure out his way into the world. And how did you sift through those distractions and find like the truly valuable content to consume to learn from?
The first stuff, the thing actually I did was, Hamza said, download the ad blocks and all of that,
Yeah.
distraction blocks or whatever you call them. I did that first so I couldn't scroll on my feed. And then actually, yeah, what I did was only listen to Hamza and Iman Gadzi, these two guys, and then watch the podcast and YouTube videos they recommended. So I basically fall into this self-improvement circle
Yeah.
and yeah, just consume this stuff for a lot of time. In terms of education, this was like November, December 2022. For 4 months, 5 months, I still didn't research anything on like business models. What should I do in life at all? I just, you know, watch these videos every day.
Yeah. I kind of did the same thing whenever I was when did I start like the whole self-improvement thing? Probably in like middle school, like 8th grade, and then COVID hit. And so that's basically when I started. I think I started with I don't know if you've seen the YouTuber Teaching Men's Fashion,
Ah,
but
oh,
he's basically like one of the OGs in like the whole self-improvement thing, and he focused on like fashion and stuff like that. So I started with him. And then I got interested in drop shipping. I forgot who it was that got me hooked on drop shipping. It's this really big e-com guy. And then from e-com, I went to agency. I tried agency for a summer. Did
so
not
you did
work.
it.
Yeah, I did try an agency. I think it was Iman. It was definitely Iman that got me hooked
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
agency model.
yeah.
And then finally, Dan Co from this summer. And I think I'm locked in on this on the whole X and podcast thing. So it's been quite a journey. But tell me about your self improvement journey. So you said that you had Hamza, you had a lot of content creators that you looked up to. So what kind of self improvement did you do back then, and what are you still doing today?
Okay, I can say that, let's say 40% of the things I consumed, or let's say, yeah, consumed back then, actually, I don't apply anymore because I feel like it's just a distraction and, the just not meant to be here. For example, let's say, Andrew Huberman's protocol for morning, all the sunlight, the
Yep.
what, everything he has. I don't do that anymore. I used to do that. It was actually quite relaxing, but back then my reason to wake up was actually to do the protocol rather than work, right? So that's quite like interesting, so to say. But no, yeah, my main goal with waking up is just cold shower and straight to work for 3 to 4 hours. I just got used to it for the past, what, 12, 13 months. I've tried copywriting already before. We'll talk about it later, probably. Just like, yeah, it became a routine, just like waking up, working, doing a bit of pause. Okay, I do meditation still. I still do the, Wim Hof breathing. You probably know that.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Maybe I felt a bit off because, all the stress and, worries business creates. Will I get clients? Will I get the response from this guy? Will my client get results as well? It kind of gets you, so you sometimes fell off. But yeah, I feel like, I like proceeded anyway. Was just like waking up every day and saying to myself, okay, I have a dream to chase. I won't let myself stop because of one bad moment in a day. And yeah, just kept going. Never quit the gym or stop the gym, even though I grinded hard during the uni. So that's a big positive from my side, actually. So yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I kind of need to get back in the gym, to be honest. I kind of stopped because of school, because it got like super busy. And then I think it's actually going to help my business because I was running a lot, like to train for my marathon and stuff like that, which I still need to get back into because have been running less and less. But what I've realized is that exercise in general, especially like lifting or running long distance, like really hard stuff that we do, actually helps the business, right? It pushes you to believe that, oh my gosh, I can do this hard thing. So my business is just it's like nothing, right? Like I can push myself just as hard in my business. Is that something that you kind of relate to?
Yeah, I would say that if you don't go to the gym, you can't even run a business, at least not long term. Because I don't know about you, but gym teached me not only to eat the pain and all the consistency, it also made me great friendships, great moments, with the guys inside the gym. It's just like such a nice place to be in to learn a lot.
Hmm.
Always at first, like I said, friendships, other like mental strength. You just can't go wrong with the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, getting back into X. You started on September 16th of 2023 last year. So walk me through the journey from that point when you first stumbled across Danco and how you got into Money X and where you are now at nearly 2K followers and doing collabs with people like Hype Fury. What were the key moments that you believe led to your success so far?
Okay, let's divide this into three parts. First is, of course, building skills. That would be from my side, copywriting the most. Cause actually, I love human psychology a lot. Even before I started copywriting, I was very interested in it. So copywriting was like a no-brainer for me. The second thing would be connecting with people, even if sometimes, let's say, don't have value to provide to him. It's just about connections and getting other people better. I made some good friends from the beginning, but they quit. Fortunately, that was few guys I had. Um, the third thing would be actually, like, it's a cliche, but it's consistency. Just going up every day. The quote said, "If you don't post one tweet every day, your brain explodes," and the brain matter is like all over the place. So actually, I've heard the advice like on my first few weeks on X, and I stuck to it because I just found it so funny. Okay, so yeah, like that's building skills wise. Then how I transformed like mentally. I talked about it a bit late before, but what I would say is like one particular, what they call it, like mindset shift I had was that actually you because at first I was writing only about my self interest, right? Danko told you write about your daily routine, how you meditate and all of that self improvement stuff. But now, like more and more, I dive deep into ICP research, ideal customer profile, and all of taking business more seriously. Of course, after making money, I just realized, okay, these people actually have so many problems I need to solve for them to say, okay, I want to buy from this guy. They basically, maybe find it a bit hard to even write about myself lately. I don't know, quite a interesting thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Why do you think that it's been harder to write about yourself? Because in your earlier posts, it was basically like your personality was super, super obvious. You spoke to a very specific person. Almost, I think you were almost kind of speaking to your past self. But
Yeah.
why do you think that your content's shifting away from kind of like that personality and like your actual life? Because I know you used to post stuff about like your football games and stuff like that.
Mm. I mean, that's something that I would like to post. Is just like something I would have to just repeat myself. Or I posted this tweet about playing against a Champions League team. I would have to play against a good team again to talk about it, probably. Um, but what I think is the reason is that okay, I'm trying to get inside my ICPs in right, and these people, I would say they're not. If let's say someone thinks let's say he looks at my profile, sees my bio, okay, I help busy entrepreneurs writing their content. They look at my pin tweet, okay, it's a case study. But then they scroll through my profile and see like some random, I don't know, I just went to the festival. It was so fun. I just played a football match yesterday. It was so fun. That would be like, okay, they have a nice lifestyle, but what can they, like, how can they help me, right? That's why I'm shifting more into inside content, just my philosophy and thoughts on business. It's not like something I can copy from anyone because it's again your thoughts on business. That's what these high quality people admire the most. Then yeah, lifestyle. I would say I like put lifestyle from point one into point two or three, and I prefer to provide business insights.
Yeah, so I was wondering what it was like to kind of make that transition from doing a bunch of because I feel like you did a lot of giveaways at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then you started to cut back a little bit and started focusing a lot more on the quality of the giveaways. And as a result of that, the giveaways performed better and better. And so how did you kind of discover the strategy that you went about for like your content? Like how much personality, how much insight, how much authority, especially for a creator that doesn't really know what their one big idea is, and they kind of want to dip their toes um, into the content creation game, and they want to just kind of experiment with different, types of content. So like they want to experiment with personality. They want to experiment with some authority, some education, some value, some insight. What kind of ratio do you recommend for a beginner?
Okay, so as a beginner, right, you don't have that many eyes on your content because you're just like you don't have authority as well because you haven't. Let's say you're a beginner. You would mean like first 1 to 2 months on X, right, or even less.
Right.
Yeah, I
Like
would say.
under 500 followers, yeah.
I mean, even with 500 followers, you can monetize. Like you've seen people with I don't know 5+ K a month. But let's leave that behind. If you're if you're like someone like me, right, who didn't have copywriting experience from before, or just had a little bit of it, the best thing you can do is first share your personality the most, because people like stick to you if you like show that you're actually an interesting person and actually you are a person, right? Faceless. I mean, faceless profiles usually don't grow that much because you know there's always a person behind the profile. In terms of like authority content, you actually don't have to start with, because of course you don't have authority, right? What's the best is to observe the market you're in and pump out lessons and first apply them, then pump them out like from your perspective. For example, that's what I did with, I started my emails, for example, very early, like in November. And then there was one book I really enjoyed and still like it. It's called Cash Advertising. And I just read through this book, made notes, applied them to my emails and long forms as well. And then my long forms back then was actually, I think it was like January, February, actually got, some of them got over 1.5K, 2K impressions. So I had the reason to talk about going viral with long forms. And I said, okay, they got viral because I applied these lessons from the book. I didn't, of course, said, okay, all of these lessons are from this single book, right? But like I talked about these principles that I applied in long forms. That was like one of the biggest, let's say, ways that boosted my following. And actually, the third one would be your opinions on the market and the creators, because I don't know if you've seen my Danko post, but it got me like 150 followers overnight. Just like
Yeah,
my
we're gonna talk
opinion
about
on,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have, I mean, Danko, let's say, it's quite saturated recently, so I think it's the best if you find a big creator in the niche, or even, it can be even like a businessman or someone who has like the mindset other entrepreneurs on X have, and just talk about that person, what you think about their product if you bought it, their mindset, their, you can break down their tweets, videos on YouTube, whatever they have, and with that you actually show people, okay, that you understand the market, and then they will follow you for other advice that I mentioned before, which is the writing advice. For example, that was for me writing advice. So it's, I would say it's a lot about playing around in different stuff, but most importantly, first, yeah, personality content to get
Mm,
people like you.
yeah, absolutely. So, in the very early days, or I still remember your banner actually.
Mm.
It was just a plain white banner, right? Imagine this. And it says, "You are what you think."
Oh god.
Premium ghostwriting.
Uh,
And so you are a failed ghostwriter. And I'm sure you still learned a lot from that failure because you're one of the best writers on X now. And what stood out to me on this profile was kind of just like the simplicity, right? The crystal clearness of it, which is what your brand at some point evolved into, which I think is super unique. And what would you, I'm just curious, what would you rate this brand on a scale of 1 to 10, right? That OG brand, it was just a white banner, you are what you think, premium ghostwriting. And then I don't know if you remember your OG profile picture, but
yeah,
that was,
of course.
yeah.
Actually, about the profile picture, I changed it because one friend of mine on X said that it was like quite, I was quite scary looking, like I'm trying to have someone. So I changed it actually a few days after he told me that. But about the OG profile, so the problem here was for myself that I wasn't sure who to ghostwrite for. So I was just, first I was just like, I write content for, I think I said, I don't even know what I said, like creators and X. But then I was like going self-improvement coaches to like, I think I had at one point like lead gen guys.
Yeah, I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, because actually there was one guy that I've worked with for free for some time, but then I dropped him, which actually quite discouraged me from ghostwriting back then. Um, I would say that I have no idea how I landed 3 free clients because my positioning wasn't on point for being a ghostwriter. Okay, I pumped out writing advice, I pumped out long forms, I pumped out some insights and all of that. I didn't position myself as someone who actually can help, let's say, self-improvement coaches write tweets for them. So that was my problem, I think, back then.
Mm. Yeah, I did notice whenever I was going through and I was seeing like your profiles, it always had some kind of new ICP.
Yeah,
So it was kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
funny. But yeah, you definitely learned a lot, even though you're pivoting a lot. You learned a lot from that ghostwriting, and your writing is definitely legendary. Everyone, whenever they read your post, they know, oh yeah, this was what Jakob wrote. And the last line in the bio, so the bio was in the OG profile. This is whenever you had 300 followers.
Mhm.
I help mindset coaches convert readers into clients, ghostwriting educational tweets and email courses from depressed student to disciplined writer in 1 year. And so I want to talk about that last line.
Wait, can you repeat the
Depressed
last line? Can you repeat it?
from depressed student to disciplined writer
Oh,
in
oh
one
yeah,
year.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And so what helped you make such a drastic shift, do you think personally, where in that time of your life you realized, oh crap, I need to figure this out and I need to start disciplining myself and starting to improve my writing? What was that shift like for you?
Okay, so it was, I think this was around January, right, or like December. It was, I let's say I lied because it was a bit less than 1 year. It was 6, 7 years prior to that when I joined the Rebrands from Andrew Tate and joined their copywriting campus. And like back then I still had, we talked about it earlier, I still had this mindset of just consuming content without actually applying it, because I had an excuse, okay, I don't know where to apply it, because in this platform they didn't really tell you how to attract clients. They just told you, okay, outreach to as many people as possible, reach out to as many people as possible.
Mhm.
I had some knowledge about copywriting or like writing in general, but I couldn't apply it. But I still like stick to it, right? I still consume, the video courses professor, I think Andrew had inside the campus.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that's why I called myself like disciplined writer, because I never stopped writing. I still have some old Google documents saved where I like change some websites into, change the copies of it, and like some emails. So yeah, I would say like I never stopped learning, even though I had no idea how to promote my services.
Yeah. And so what about that whole process do you think led to your discipline? Because you're now like very disciplined. I know we've talked about the gym. We talked about other kind of routines that you have. What in those early days did you use as like a mechanism or like a technique to build your discipline? Because a lot of beginners, entrepreneurs trying to learn a skill, it's hard. And then because it's hard and it sucks, it's hard to stay disciplined. So do you have any advice in that regard?
Honestly, if I had to start from zero right now, I don't know how I would do that, because it's like very difficult, let's say, to look back in time when you have no idea how to even write I don't know, a hook, for example, right? What was going through my mind back then was just like learning stuff for the sake of learning without any need to make money. So yeah, what I did right is, again, consume as many courses as possible, read some books about it. That was a bit later, but still, just like observing the landing pages, emails, later tweets, and like getting this into my mind. That was my like process for it.
Mm. Yeah, it's just it really comes down to just iterating upon, just putting stuff out there, writing stuff or doing whatever skill. So it's like web design, designing
Yeah,
things, and then looking at what works, what didn't work. Even if that means you didn't, even if you don't have clients, you can post your designs on Twitter, or you could uh, work for free for somebody, like literally make them a website and then DM it to them. They probably won't respond, but if they do, that's feedback. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. It's just it's gonna be hard at the beginning. Like there's no avoiding it. It's gonna suck, and that's kind of the thread that I've found through all my podcasts. Whenever I was asking people about their early journey, every single one of them has said it just sucked. Like it sucked to grow their account. It sucked to learn the skill. It sucked to be a beginner. But that's what everyone goes through. So it's
yeah.
normal. It's perfectly normal. And so, digging into your brand now, you are the authority guy. So, what does authority as a concept mean to you? And what makes your content and brand itself authoritative?
Okay, so when I first realized I was perceived as an authority was back in late April, early May, especially from these Longforms, because I saw people not only telling me that they like my stuff, but they also trust me the most from all of the creators. So that's, I would say there are many definitions of authority, but what I see as an authority right now is that you're someone who, let's demonstrate it. You're here, your audience is here, and you can bridge the gap that is between, but you don't do it because, of course, you have a paywall behind that. So, as authority, I would say it's someone who has the experience, who has the knowledge, and demonstrates it to people behind, but doesn't actually show them how to do stuff. Because at some point, you have to set some requirements for people to actually pay you for knowledge.
Yeah, so being an authority means you're like teaching the lessons, you're bringing them into the classroom and then you're just selling the actual implementation. You're selling the how,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. And what about your brand is authoritative, like your brand specifically? And this could be your content, this could be like your personality? What about your brand itself as, a personal brand is authoritative?
Yeah, it's the understanding of the market, I would say, in my side, because like I'm gonna be straight, like two of my clients came to me because I show that I understand writing and branding more than they do, and I actually want to know how to get to this point, right? That's how I actually landed two of them. Um, like personality wise, I wouldn't say you actually personality wise, I would say everyone's the same, right? There's no difference from people who, let's say, are from at zero and Dakota Robertson, who is 100 followers. We all have our own stories. Although, yeah, many people write, this. I got from 0 to 100K followers on X in this many months. I mean, that's authority content, but it's not really a personal stuff. About personality, about your real life stories, I would say we're all at the same point.
Yeah, but I guess a little thought experiment we could do is what about Andrew Tate or someone like him, right?
Mhm.
His personality is literally screaming authority, and it's very visible in his content. His brand is literally just authority. What do you think about that? What do you think about the whole idea of making your brand, even if you fundamentally don't have like results, you just speak with such a level of conviction? Do you think you can have an authority in that way?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because if you confuse people, you lose them. That's a simple quote I've read many times. What I would say about Andrew Tate is not only does he like is so sure that his stuff what thinks is right, it's also how he like sweeps away like everyone who doesn't agree with him and sticks to this, let's say, 1% of human population who is with him. So on X, it's a bit harder to implement on X because Tate is an influence in every regard in sales, he's good at everything, right? So it's a bit different, but on X that could be definitely like one thing you see often, like people try to actually, I would say, demonstrate it by saying, okay, I hate copycats, I hate trendsetters, I hate this and that. But I wouldn't say that's actually something that, at least at this moment, I think sticks to people that much than like your philosophy on life more. Because like in the end, we want to live a good life off X as well, not only on X. So I would say at this moment, if you want to become an authority, it's also a lot about speaking about your real life, so to say, experiences and thoughts on life.
Yeah, absolutely. In the early days when you were figuring out your offer and your brand, what were the most important lessons that you learned about authority? What is like one actionable thing that a newbie or someone like me, a beginning entrepreneur, can do right now listening to the podcast to build authority with their content? What's one thing?
Hmm, the biggest thing, huh? Hmm. First, it's definitely to write a long form about the topic and know the topic would be for a beginner. Actually, I would say I saw one of the friends of mine who was mentored by Harry Beadle, the big guy on X.
Hmm.
How he showed authority was actually writing an email for the company he wanted to work with and pin it as a post and DM it to the person, right? And actually, that person in a few
What?
days came to him and actually worked or like signed with him, right? And became his client. So for a
Wow.
beginner, I would actually say it's about researching one brand or your ICP. You find it takes some time, right, to research that. I haven't done it before myself, but I would say spend a lot of time on the research on your ICP, one person. Then whatever you do, it can be landing pages, content, emails, whatever. You like really dig deep into his stuff, find flaws or the mistakes he's doing, and actually write a tweet about it, like saying why this is a mistake and how you would do it instead, and actually put this tweet out and pin it and send it to the person. And this person would actually see, okay, he has an authority, he knows how to do this stuff, and might actually sign with you. And if not, this like he will retweet it. At least he will write your comment. You can't really
Hmm.
lose here.
Yeah, you really can't. It's no reason to not do it because you can only win. Going back into the really early days, I believe I stumbled across your first giveaway. We just talked about it actually. The welcome emails one.
Oh,
It totally flopped with 300 views. But tell me about the process and mindset that you had at the time. How did you get the courage to write up the giveaway and then share it with the world despite having almost no idea what you were doing?
okay, so I think this was December. It was the first time I actually stumbled across or realized what a lead magnet is. Like I saw a welcome email sequence giveaway from another guy. I don't really remember who it was, but it was like a bigger guy than me, of course. And I didn't really know that lead magnet should be about the topic you were like about the problem you're solving. So I just wrote the same topic with just welcome emails, and put in different examples from, I think I put in Dakota, Robertson, Kieran, Drew, and myself, and one smaller creator I like was friend with. And it was quite bad, but I just copied the concepts and gave my own explanation and examples. But I would say, yeah, this was a great experience because I actually, of course, I realized that how you should make a giveaway or the lead magnet. It's not actually that there needs to be a need for the problem you're solving inside the giveaway, not just, whatever topic you want to talk about.
How do you discover whether or not there is a need and then discovering what that specific need is?
At first, let's took my next giveaway, for example. It was about hooks. So like I said, I was reading books, implementing the stuff from there about the writing overall, and I was like really diving in deep into hooks, right? And I wrote at this time 3 to 5 long forms a week, 2 to 3 short forms a day, or 1 to 2.
Hmm.
And I was getting a lot of traction on them because I went really deep into the hooks. I got back then when I had like it was 4 to 5, 3 to 400 followers. I got like from 1 to 2K views, which is quite a lot. It was back then quite a lot. Right now it's quite normal, so to say. Depends. And okay, I saw people actually read my tweets, so therefore it means I know how to write hooks. But then the next thing is many other creators write good hooks as well, right?
Mm.
So I needed to find a unique angle to writing hooks. Yeah, I don't completely remember how I did it because it was 7 months ago now. But I found a unique angle to writing hooks and created 7 frameworks, I think, with
Hmm.
examples. It was like completely new. I actually went into Figma with different colors, created boxes, and explained each part of the.
I saw that post. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually something I did. Others didn't. So that's, in my opinion, why it blew up, because I also, of course, uh, relaunched it. So I, gave people the quick look inside, so they saw that I actually am creating something different. So I would say that this is the reason why this one actually blew up, and how every lead magnet should be created, like new concept inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And this giveaway, like your first ever giveaway, kind of brings up a very interesting inflection point for a lot of entrepreneurs that are just starting out. It's like the tipping point on the edge of a cliff, right? Where they can either take the leap of faith or they could step away and go back to safety.
Yeah.
So how have you kind of overcome this fear of getting started and just diving headfirst into something, even though it's scary and you don't know what the outcome is?
Yeah. So my thought process behind this was, I would initially have to do it anyway, right? Either one way or another. So if I fail now, like I learned so many lessons and get such a big punch in my head, right, that I won't make the same mistake next time. And I will save probably so many hours creating the stuff, right? So yeah, my initial thought was just, you can't lose if you lose, even if you lose, you can't lose.
Yeah, straight up. Okay, the next tweet I feel kind of speaks volumes to your writing voice, which you found pretty early on, and style that your audience now comes to love you for. I'll actually read it. Want this, and then you had a picture of your analytics. I think it was for the week or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think back then.
and then you had 110 followers for the week or something crazy. This tweet's crazy. Do this. Make jokes, take creatine, sun your balls right as you talk, help the beginners, leave valuable and funny comments, reverse engineer what already works, write long form posts 3 to 5 times a week, no secrets. I feel like a lot of that advice is pretty good, but some of it's kind of questionable.
Okay, so this was if there are any guys listening to this from back then, I'm doubting there is. Maybe there is. This was actually an era where everyone was. I think Dakota Robertson was actually the beginner or the one who started this trend. It was actually you write 2 to 3 normal bullet points, but then suddenly put in 2 really weird ones, right? That's what I and some other creators I worked with back then were doing. So here, for example, it was starting my bullets and creatine, right? So it was like a meta back then, actually.
That's kind of funny. Where do you think the meta went? Because I feel like that's kind of cool to have some personality put into the bullet points.
Yeah, I would say next is such a weird press. Everyone is following the big thing going on. So back then, this was from like December to March. It was these types of posts that you just read, basically like one line hook, bullet points, and a heavy hitter at the end, with also the funny things in between. But then I don't know what happened. I, this might be a bit rude, but Ben changed it all with his stories, and people went
Uh-huh.
to this story formatting, which yeah,
Yeah.
overflooded the whole X space. I would say I don't know. People tend to follow trends way too much, even though some stuff works from before. Like these things actually work really well for some people, for me as well. Yeah, I think the problem is people just don't stick to it, even though if it works for them.
Mm. So if the meta is now what it was like a month or two ago, like really all in on stories, right? Do you think that's changing now? And if so, where do you think the meta is going?
Yeah, I think that's actually a bit of a problem because again, let's be like I'm not such a good history guy, but let's say like when everything moves in masses, it's not the best because one let's go one village is first overpopulated and then no one lives there anymore, right? Because everyone moves. I think that's the same problem here on X, right? Everyone was in this storytelling place, but not everyone wants to move to something new, right? But nothing will be left behind. So again, everyone will be put in the new into the new group. But what this group could be? I would guess like in August, I saw some people posting some short videos next to tweets, like text tweets. I would say that isn't happening anymore that much because even I tried it and didn't get nearly as much views as I did with like normal tweets. But actually, in terms of brands, right, I would say it's like spreading into different directions right now. I don't really see a pattern repeating, really.
Yeah, I
We'll
think it
have
is
to.
also. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I think we'll have to wait a few more weeks or months to see what's next. Yeah.
Hmm. A lot of people are trying different things. Like I started with X Growth and now I'm in podcast.
Mhm.
Um, some creators they were doing like mentorship or something, and now they're doing like design, graphic design. Uh, some people are doing landing pages, and now they're doing coaching. It's so interesting to see where everyone's going. Yeah, I don't really see any true like one of one meta. Like it's not just storytelling anymore, right? I mean, storytelling's still a good thing. Like storytelling it's ageless. Like it's
Yeah.
timeless. Humans will always appreciate stories and look for stories. But I guess on X, the meta is definitely changing and going in different directions. So it's going to be interesting to see where it heads. And so let's talk about the meta that you kind of almost were like a pioneer for. It was your long forms, right? And I think whenever I was looking back at your old posts, I feel like your long forms were the highest leverage thing that you did for your entire business. Even though like it was just content, I think that your long forms were the reason why you got so good at writing, why people started to view you as an authority, and why you even got your clients because you can't really show like you mentioned how you understood the market and that's how you got like your first few clients, right? And I think your long forms are the reason why people got that vibe from you, that you understood this space so well. It's because you did those long forms so good. And were you I guess the question is, were you always good at long forms, or is this kind of a struggle for you at the beginning, and now you're just like a natural at it?
Okay, so that's quite funny because until the new year, I maybe wrote 5 long forms. So that was 4 months in. I only wrote about 5 long forms. First one was actually such an interesting one. It was about school system in Sweden, I think. That was like
Okay.
a random experiment I did like with my first long form, or Illustrator
Uh-huh.
actually. Um, so no, I was talked with long forms at first. Like I was doing all the Google research. Actually, let me start like this. It was I thought the point of long forms is explain something from Google in a much more concise way on X. That's what I saw from like Dan Cole in his course. But then as I observed the market more, yeah, I realized long forms is actually for showing what you have learned, not what something on Google is written and you just want to summarize it on X.
You like your
Although
own
it's
personal insights.
yeah, although you still see like this person, the name and here are 7 lessons or 7, lessons. Yeah, he's teaching to people. I would say this works in certain niches. Again, I would say it works in so-called ghostwriting or X copywriting space and all of that. Um, but yeah, overall, my long forms were shit at first. I wrote probably over hundreds of them so far, if not more. And yeah, no,
Wow. Yeah. No
they're a
surprises
bit
there.
better now. Yeah.
If you had to teach a 5-year-old how to write long forms, how would you do it?
Okay, so this is the most stupid and the most simple framework I use till to this date for long forms. It's either a what, why, how framework or what, why framework. So how this goes, right? Let's say you're writing a long form about 5 lessons you've learned, right? Let's just use a simple example. To write the hook that's normal, the same as at every other tweet. Then with each subtopic, you go first. What is the topic? So people, it's like the top headline is just what is the topic. Then why? You just explain why is this important, why people should care, why it matters. Because I actually like dove a bit deeper into asking yourself why. I don't know if you know Simon Sinek, but he's like a very known business owner who wrote a book, Start with Why. And
Hmm.
I now I understand why people need why more, basically. So it's really important that you explain why is this important, even more important than the how. Again, like people don't act if you don't tell them why to act. And just the how part is just like giving them a simple step or action to take. Or they tell people how you did it or how they should do it. It's not like it's nothing special, just few bullet points. So that's my simple and stupid framework for long forms.
I feel like your OG graphics, I don't know if you remember them, but like the black and white stick figures
Oh yeah.
are pretty good way to teach a 5-year-old how to write long forms. And in fact, I found a post that's pretty good example of this. You had 2 stick figures, a stranger and a homie, and
Oh
then an
yeah.
arrow in between
Yeah,
showing
yeah.
the principles of a long form. And so the principles were a strong hook, personalized, grabs attention, it awakens emotions, it hacks logic, and it has simplicity.
Mhm.
So how do you what of these principles, right, of turning a stranger that doesn't trust you, doesn't care about you, how do you use these principles to turn them into a homie that does trust you and does care about you?
Okay, so first might be a bit strange to say right now, but it would be that you're actually fun. So I would suggest everyone to try to use at least one analogy per subtopic, or let's say 3 analogies at least throughout the whole copy, long form copy. Like what I realized with X recently, right, is that no one tries to be funny anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's just like my humor is a bit like high level, so to say. But I just don't find anything funny on X right now. And it doesn't mean you have to write about OnlyFans and this stuff, but you just can make a relatable analogy about comparing just 2 things, right? Something that you understand from real life and something that on X, that's something actually that works really well, like connecting concepts from real life to business and X. Then the second thing would be, again, make it personalized, which means talking about one problem, giving one solution. Basically just having one person in your mind, because you can really focus on what this person has in mind and target his pain points. And yeah, let me add, the third one would be yeah, just talking about your perspective, how you did things, because again, writing how-to, that everyone can do that, right? So yeah, that would be, let's say, 3 parts.
And what about this is the one principle that I was kind of curious about. What do you mean by hack logic? What does that look like in a long form? Like how do you hack the logic of, I guess, your reader with your long form?
That was, I think that was written like in January, right? That's quite a long time ago, so I might not really remember why I said hack logic. It was just, when people tell you to use fancy names for concepts, right? But I would say, I'm trying to understand myself, my younger self. I would say hacking logic would mean like, how human psychology works. You have the 5 stages of awareness, right? Unaware, solution aware, all of that. I won't really explain it here. So I would say hacking the logic is actually getting people from that they don't know about a certain thing to actually like making them at least understand the basics. Yeah, I think I got it right. I don't know. Quite
Yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, because the logic is like the fundamental, right? It's like the first principles of something. And if you can nail those down, then people will definitely understand what you're saying. Um, so you've come a long way from stick figures and graphics like that. And I believe that the inflection point where your brand really started to pop off was with your second or third giveaway. It wasn't the hooks one. Actually, it was the hooks one. And I believe that it was called Creative Hooks 101.
Yeah.
And I'll read the tweet for you. 253,000 impressions and gained 350 followers in 7 weeks. How? I mastered the art of creative hooks. So I wrote an ebook to help you do the same. It's free for 48 hours, yada, 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 right? And tell me about this chapter of your brand wherever you became it. I know we've already kind of touched upon it, but what about this chapter of your brand where you became an expert in hooks? Do you think this chapter was a good business decision, like long term?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because at this time I really learned a lot about hooks, like all the principles they need. Although one thing I did with hooks back then was like trying to be more funny with them. I don't know if you saw one of my hooks. And one of my famous hooks was like about the what was it? Your growth is like an erection. It starts really slow but suddenly gets bigger here, so you get it really fast or something like that. But basically what I did back then was trying let's say a bit too much with hooks, right? I mean, it worked. I would say it would work now as well, but it wouldn't attract my ideal client at the moment. Like back then, again, like we talked about, I didn't really know who I'm targeting, so I was just writing whatever I wanted sometimes. This chapter, I can definitely say I enjoyed writing a lot more than I do right now, because again, I also had many new fresh ideas, and with time you have to really dig deep into some topics to learn more. Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, that hook about the the erection was very creative. um, Eventually, you did pivot your brand away from hooks, and what I noticed through my research is that the evolution of your brand, like from ghostwriting to emails to coaching, hooks, um, they were kind of interesting, right? Like the evolution was very smooth almost, where you kind of just evolved your brand, you evolved your content, you evolved your even the long forms that came along with them. They all evolved in a very effective way. So like what specific pivots do you think that someone that's going through a rebrand or someone that's trying to like redefine their ICP or their niche or even their business model, what specific pivots could they make that would take the shortest amount of time and the least amount of money to do.
Mm. You would say that could be, for example, like I did from ghostwriting to more like coaching, right? This pivots.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what you learned from the first or like previous business, it can be applied to everywhere. So, for example, I don't know, let's say you're going from landing page designing or like sales page designing to, let's say, email marketing, right? You still have certain principles, right? Which, for example, in landing pages, you have to really focus on capturing or like creating that slippery slide, like of letting people read every next sentence. But it's same on emails, right? You have to capture attention first, but have to do it again and again, right? So I would say if you're doing anything connected to again copywriting and writing, the principles always stay almost the same. And if you try to reinvent the view, as I mentioned a lot in my long forms, you simply won't make it. Because these are proven concepts with animate in the background.
Yeah. This next tweet adds like basically no value, but I couldn't help but include like your first shirtless mirror pic
Oh yeah.
post. And it was 5 best ways to spend your teenage years. Gym, start an online business. You can't go wrong with these two. And so besides those two, what other ways have you spent your teenage years?
Okay. We talked about video games before and like going out for drinks, but another one chapter of my life was actually so nice, even though it was like a degenerate. It was like I don't know what to call it, but it's the end, the trip at the end of the high school when we went to Greece for 7 days. It was like so fun, going with friends in another country. Uh, One thing is also football, like playing football 3 to 4 times a week. It's so relaxing to me, getting all the distractions from business and all that out of your mind for a few hours a day. It like really helps me. Yeah, I mean, I went to a few concerts, like something I don't really care that much about at the moment. But at the time, just like some novelty was needed. What what I admire the most in life is actually getting experience from things. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to win or feel positive in the end. But if you like experience something, you at least know if you like it or not. So that's the principle I live by. Uh yeah. And I was just to add that when I was like a little kid under 12, 11, I was like really I was like doing bad stuff in school. So yeah, yeah, me and one of my friends were like quite quite annoying to the teachers in school.
Yeah, I kind of relate to that. Um, okay, back to business. It took you 6 months to hit 1,000 followers on X, and you hit 1,000 off a huge wave of momentum. So I think you did it all in like the last 500 or so in the last 30 days. In the final 30 days. And so in the post, you listed 40 lessons
Oh,
that you've learned along the way. Of the ones that you can remember, which are the most important lessons for a founder or an entrepreneur to really take to heart?
so if I remember correctly, I divided into 5 groups. I think it was writing. Back then, it was writing, ghost writing, personal life engagement. There was one more I don't remember correctly. But yeah, basically, writing, I would say just the things we discussed already. For life, I would say the biggest lesson is just to enjoy the whole thing, or else if you don't find a reason to wake up in the morning, you need to do some journaling first. Get to know yourself better and what you want to do better. So that's what I strongly suggest you to do every now and then. Um, about networking, I would say just to act as every human is like equal, seeing like someone with more followers doesn't really mean this person is superior. That's what I thought like for quite some time, when DMing creators with 1.5k, 2k followers back then when I was at like 500 was like it was quite scary to me. just because of big numbers. I don't know why. No, I really don't. No, I really don't look at the numbers as the barrier for DMs and connections. For ghostwriting, I would actually say to ask as many questions as possible to the prospect to get to know him like he's your brother, because then you can write content for him the best way possible. If I like tie it all back, it's the best to have like good communication skills and ask as many questions as possible to people and to
Yeah,
yourself
that's
as well when you write content. For
mm,
example, if you don't ask yourself questions, you won't really come up with answers, right? That's another one.
that's a good one. Asking yourself questions and then asking the world questions,
Yeah.
asking your prospects questions, just questions, and just being a curious person, a learner. Absolutely. Speaking of momentum, right? For that last until you hit that last month before you hit 1K, you had a ton of momentum. So, first of all, how do you create momentum for yourself with your content? And how do you maintain momentum so that you can keep pushing through?
So maybe creating momentum is can be a bit random or it can be luck. Let's say if I didn't hit that Danko post, right, I don't know, I might have not gotten to this point. So how I would say build the momentum is just experiment and write as much as possible, right? Get better at it. And once you hit this, once you got a viral post, a client, whatever it could be, it's just like I would say the best is to look at other creators who did it before, observe what they did, and then not copy them, but try to find the patterns they followed, so you follow them as well. So that would be like more this milestone posts, more even if it's a bit boring, more of these flex posts for followers. It's no shame doing that, and yeah, just keep pumping this out. And again, yeah, when you gain momentum in the followers decline, just talk more about it. It's also known as building in public, right? So such an important concept in business.
Yeah, building in public's so easy. It's everyone talks about it too, but there's a reason
Yeah.
why everyone talks about it. The next milestone you hit was 1250 followers, and this was a different kind of milestone for you because I feel like it was, oh my gosh, I'm here, and then 1250 was more of like business. It was more focused on business, and I'll go ahead and read the tweet for you. It was, I just reached 1250 followers. 30 days ago, I was still at 1000. But back then, I used to spend 6+ hours a day writing content and engaging and doing backend work. Now it only takes me 2 to 3 hours. So what changed? I started creating systems, engaging less, planning each day upfront, repurposing what already works, spending more time doing the things I love. See the last one, that doesn't make sense, but it's the most important one. And so before we get into that, I want to talk about your systems. How do you create systems for yourself? How do you create, I don't know if you use automations of any kind, but how do you build systems? How do you, I guess, utilize your systems to make your workflow efficient and squeeze all of it into 2 to 3 hours?
Okay, so this was the time when I had uni. It was actually like throughout most time of the year, but I had like exams at this time, I think. Because of first, one thing that helped the most was daily schedule, where I scheduled every hour of the day and the end of the day. It would take me like 5 minutes at maximum, but like it saved me probably 1 to 2 hours throughout the day. Like wondering what should I do next. I don't want to do that now. I should do it later and all that. So that's like the first system everyone has to create if they want to manage time. But then I also talked a lot about building out. So that's basically systems as well, right? That would be basically systemizing everything you put out as content. So that would be first, I call it a tweet bank, where I basically store the best content each week. Actually, I don't only store it. I also like next to the tweet, I write why it worked and what could I do better. So I do a small reflection, like 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes every Sunday, to reflect on my week, on my content, how it performed. That's one system that comes in not only for repurposing content, which is one thing, but also like for creating WAV files and parts of your program for clients. That's something I also did created a whole program for my clients, like a 8-9 week course for them. It like really helped me because actually what you have to do only right is give them the, let's say your client wants to write a viral thread, for example, and you wrote a module on writing viral threads, right? You gathered your examples that you've already written, you put in some extra theory and explanation, and you just say, okay, look at this chapter or like module, read through it, and either write a tweet and come back to me or just ask me any questions that you have. And instead, I would have to go on 1 hour call to explain this to a client, right? I just give them the access to the file, like the whole program, and it takes 5 minutes to explain it later, right? So that's how you save time basically with systems.
Say I destroyed all of your systems and forced you to start all over from scratch. How would you rebuild them, and what systems would you start with?
I would probably rebuild these ones that I already have, or maybe I haven't really experimented with AI that much. For AI, I only have like that's a system, but just like Grammarly extension, so you don't have to like, put the whole text into ChatGPT and say if everything's written correctly. Actually, yeah, I would really like to experiment AI a bit with all the systems. Maybe one thing, one system I don't have at the moment is like tracking DMs on X, which can get quite massive. So that's something I actually will create in the near future. Other than that, I haven't really even dive deep into this system thing. So maybe have to, first even know what systems exist here before I speak.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned AI because there's so many new tools coming out, and Zapier make all
Oh
these
yeah.
automation tools. Oh my gosh, huge time savers. But yeah, besides that, I found. Oh, here's the Dan code thread. It's one of your most viral threads ever, and or it might have been a long form. No, I think it was a thread.
It's long form. It's long form.
Long form. Yeah,
Yeah.
long form. Um, so here's like I think the first post, or no, this was the summary. So at the end of the long form, I found basically like a little summary that you had of it.
Mhm.
And so basically during the post, you're saying like Danco and all these creators are like trying to sell you this idea, this concept of like their brand, like what works for them. But what you were saying was like you should find something that inspires you about these creators and then add your own twist to it. And so
Mm.
at the end of the long form, you said find 3 to 5 creators that you vibe with, collect their ideas, and introduce yours. If you don't know which to choose, answer these questions. What are my goals in life? Why have I decided to stop being a degenerate? Why have I even started building on X in the first place? So I guess I'll ask you those 3 questions. What are your goals in life? Why have you decided to stop being a degenerate? And why have you started building on X?
First one was my goals in life, right? So that's again, it's a very generic question. You have so many possibilities to answer, but let's give 3 short answers. That would be first to have time and location freedom to work on whatever I want, not for working for a boss. And the third one would be just to travel more around the world, experience more. Like I said, I really admire experiencing new things. Maybe the okay, let's add the fourth thing that would be actually making more people awake, so called, like making them aware of what's happening actually in the world. Because I don't know if I don't, I really try to not consume the news, but I sometimes have to because my parents watch them, and what's going on the TV, right? It's so useless. You really don't have to know this. It doesn't change your life. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't improve your skills, knowledge, all of that. So yeah, definitely like staying away from the mass media. When I'm older. The Can you repeat the second and the third one so I don't miss it?
Yeah, so the second question was, why have you decided to stop being a degenerate? And then the third one was, why have I even started building on X in the first place?
Let's start with the third one. Why I started building on X. I feel like many people are not open to new opportunities in life. I don't know why. I was one of them as well. But when I was given a really strong why from Danko, I really had no reason to not try, at least. Even though I tried Instagram team pages before and also tried some Facebook flipping. There again, like when I tried Instagram team pages, I had no why. I really didn't see where this thing could go, right? But with this Twitter or like X growth and all that personal branding, there's actually no end goal, or like end result you can get. Sure, you can grow to 1 million followers, but there's still like new purpose behind that, So what I love about X is there's always a new opportunity opening in let's say in the background. And I hope that was a good answer to the question.
Fantastic.
And why I stopped, or what's the reason for me stopping being a degenerate? It's really quite hard to find an answer to that. Maybe because when you're a degenerate, you don't really see how life works, or you don't really dive deeper into it. For example, like when I was playing video games till 4 a.m., I never asked myself, will I do that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? I never ask myself what I actually will do in life. So I would say the reason for me stopping being a degenerate is actually like waking up to reality, it's actually, if I can share it, it's when I came back from New Year in 2022, 21, 22 this year. Or actually, no, it was from 2022 to 2023. I actually wanted to hop on Fortnite again, play solo game. And I just asked myself, will I do that in 5 years? Like, how the fuck will this help my life? And I just realized that doing so-called nothing throughout the day or even destroying yourself, it's just for the pleasure you have at this exact moment. If you want to have pleasure in 5 years' time, you have to do something to, create a better life. So yeah.
Yeah, this kind of brings me on to one of personally my favorite tweet that you made, where you basically went out to eat on your mom's birthday.
Oh yeah.
Picture of the burger at the restaurant. And so here it is. I could have been engaging for hours, working on a giveaway, researching and analyzing content, but I chose to go on a bit fancier of a dinner instead. I hope to be the one who pays for it soon. So tell me about your entrepreneurial path. What is, I know we just touched upon like your purpose and your mission, but what genuinely wakes you up every day and gets you out of bed in the morning? Is it your work? Are you excited to do your work? Or is there some kind of deeper meaning for what you do every day?
Mm. That's quite a good question because I don't really have an answer to. I don't really like when I wake up. I know. Some people wake up with joy on their face, right? But I never experienced that actually in my life. At least I think so. What wakes me up every day is actually to again experience new things and learn new things. Because just learning for me is so fun. I don't know why. I've read over 50 books in the last 2 years. I think some big ones, some small ones. But yeah, know that I wrote a tweet about paying my parents dinner and all of that. It actually doesn't really drive me. I don't know why. What drives me forward is just like learning more about life. Quite weird, maybe.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Of course, although of course I would like to you know have some money and pay for fancy dinners in the future.
Yeah. You're a student, you don't really care about those other monetary things. Even though they're nice, they're nice to have.
Yeah.
If you knew that you were going to succeed, whether that be with your business or personal aspirations, what would you change about the path you're currently on? Or no, would you change the path that you're currently on? Or would you double down on the work that you're currently doing?
So I have to really think about if I understood you correctly, but it's For me, that would be basically just like continuing on with what I'm doing at the moment, or
Yeah,
like
so if you
it's
knew
changed a
you're
bit.
yeah, if you knew you were going to succeed, so whatever dream goal that you have, right? So if there's like a money goal or a certain number of clients or like some kind of business, would you keep doing the work that you're doing now, or would you change the path? Would you do something different if you knew that you were going to succeed?
Hmm. So that would be both like business wise and then personal life wise, or just business wise.
We can just talk business wise, yeah.
Okay, so we all want to change our content strategy and all of that like every week, and I'm also like that. I want to change things a lot because I do like one time think I did it right, but then again I see there's a new opportunity I could hop in. What I would do is just I would like it to be is just stick to one thing, one strategy, one content. Yeah, one content strategy, one posting schedule posting, and all of that. Because I feel like when jumping like between many schedules, I don't know, even frameworks, all that, I'm not really making progress in one specific thing. I'm rather just making a progress, but then as I'm leaving it all behind, how I feel like sometimes, especially these days, recently, all the trends that are changing. I would say being more consistent with one thing again.
Yeah, okay. What has entrepreneurship taught you about yourself as a person?
Ooh, okay, so I'm quite patient. I don't know, you see some people like crying and mocking about all the algo stuff, the likes and impressions, although I was one of them at first, but for the past few months I really stopped worrying about this. Let's call them non necessary things. Then the next thing would be that I'm really friendly, and that's I would say that's quite rare in this world. Like, have so many bullies or people who disrespect others. At least in real life, I know many people like that. Although X is different, X has so many nice people, so that's not a problem here.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, I would have to ask maybe you or others, right, what they think about me, or like my personality.
Yeah, I think you're super chill, you're super authentic, very relatable too. Like your origin story is not super glamorous, and that makes it very easy to, talk to you and relate to you. Um, and yeah, I agree. You're definitely a very patient person, it seems, because you've been here for a while,
Oh
you've
yeah,
been here for a while. So I can definitely see those traits in you. And I'm glad that entrepreneurship has taught you that because it's definitely one of those things that teaches you a lot. It's one of those paths that you could take. It's hard, it sucks, but it definitely teaches you a lot about life in general.
yeah.
But all right,
Like,
Jakob.
yeah,
Oh,
maybe
go
just
ahead.
wanted to add this. Like I always thought self improvement is one campus and building business is another, but actually realize that business is self improvement itself, right? I thought always that you have to do these habits, just to improve your personality and do these habits to become a better businessman, right? But it actually like correlates so much that it's really one thing together in the end.
Jakob Cigrovski, let the world know what you've been up to. This is the part where you plug everything that you've got going on and promote, any giveaways or any plans you have for the future for your business. Let's hear it.
Okay, so recently I released the ebook with High Fury. I'm the first person to do it, so you can check it out in my bio. Then I also have five other, 4 or 5, whatever, other ebooks. Also, if you would like to access any of them, just DM me. I'll send you all the links if you want to. Of course, you can check me on X. That's obvious. And also can check my emails. I post 3 to 5 emails a week, which is quite a lot. Um, and yeah, in case you need any help with branding, writing, copywriting, email marketing, positioning, whatever, you can always find me on X. in my DMs. I'm always open. Answer any questions you have. Yeah.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the most jacked creator on X, Jakob Cigrovski. This has been one hell of an episode, dude. I appreciate you for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.